Location, Christmas. A mysterious man, often deployed overseas to some of the world's most exotic locations. By the age of 35, his moustache had experienced more than a lesser man's entire body. He is quite possibly the most interesting man. I am honoured to present the father of the bride, Mr. Martin Harris.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, honoured guests, and apologies if I don't get back to you, there's nowhere to stand better. Well, first let me thank all of you for being here today, and especially those who've travelled a long way to be here. And I know there are quite a few who've made a very long trip, so it's appreciated by all of us. When I was preparing myself for this honourable moment, Rian gave me some very sage advice about the key element of the speech, its length. She said that the first 2 minutes people will listen attentively, then their minds will start to drift. And if you're still talking after 10 minutes, they'll wonder what the earth is still going on about. So clearly I should make the most of these first 2 minutes. So what can I say about Rian? If I was being true to my British roots, I'd say that Rian's been a pretty good daughter. She's not bad looking. And well, you know, really quite nice. But I've been in America now for 7 years, and I've started to learn how to cast off these British reserve and enthusiasm and understatement. So if you'll forgive a very proud father, I'd like to say that Rian has been, and still is, a really great daughter. More, hang on. Beautiful, radiant, caring, thoughtful, and cheerful. And always with a smile. Well, almost always. There have been times when it's been wavered just a little bit. And one such time when she was about 6 years old. We were at Cardiff Airport, waiting to fly back to Holland. And Rian had with her a little blue suitcase containing her very treasured collection of My Little Ponies. And I have to say, you have to be a certain age to know what they were. Very nice little ponies. And we checked in hours early as usual, and we left Rian playing happily with her ponies under the rather doubtful supervision of her brother Chris. And of course, we went off to get some refreshments. And of course, within 30 seconds, Rian and Chris turned up wanting ice creams. So, there we were, and while we were waiting, we heard several announcements about a bag that had been left unattended in the sitting area. And of course, we happily ignored that, it had nothing to do with us. Then the police in body armour came rushing past. 2 minutes later, a loud bang. And the police came back carrying the tattered remains of a very familiar little blue suitcase. If I remember clearly, I think it took a peach melba and a banana split. Slightly smile back on the window. But as you can see, it's back in full force again today, so it's never lost forever. And that smile brings me back to a time when Rian was about 15. Many of you here know about Rian's recent career as a graphic designer, but not many know about her earlier career in advertising. For about 3 months, Rian was a minor celebrity around The Hague, with her face appearing on the back of buses, advertising Downwell, a local fun fair and holiday resort. And I can tell you it was a very odd sensation to be driving along behind a bus, Rian's face smiling back at me. Unfortunately, visions of fame and fortune didn't last. Her payment for the advert turned out to be just 2 free tickets to the fun fair. But it hasn't always been easy for Rian. I'd like to take just a moment remembering her mother, Annette, who isn't here today to share the joy of the occasion, as she passed away when Rian was just 11. Annette may not be here in person, but I'm sure she's looking down, as proud and as pleased as I am to see Rian so happy getting married to someone that she loves. But there is someone here who can take much of the credit for the great way that Rian has turned out, and that's her grandmother, Aldi. Who over the years has been a pillar of strength. And I forgot my glass because I'm going to raise my glass to Alan.
Yes,
And if you wish to join me, please do. And now to Gareth. Who I am delighted to welcome to the family. Gareth is a gentleman, and he confirmed that when he called me to ask my permission to marry him. A true gentleman, but perhaps not always the most aware of time zones. As it's called 11:30 in the UK, it was 6:30 in the morning. I don't think I sounded friendly and enthusiastic. But at 6:30, I hadn't even had that first cup of coffee to establish one's good humor. Well, I think I'm over my 2-minute mark now, so I'll leave more on Gareth, the best man, who I'm sure is just champing at the bit. Tell you more about Gareth's great audience. Let me end by thanking the bridesmaids Magdalena, Sally, Kirsten and Kat, and of course not forgetting the bridesman, Ken, for their charming presence which has helped make this such a memorable day. I ask you now to please rise and raise your glasses. Toast to the happy couple, Rian and Gareth.
Such is his prowess on the dance floor. But do not be fooled by his boyish looks or his fancied feet. For beneath this exterior lies a grizzly mountaineer and cross-country skier. Once climbed the north face of the Eiger, armed only with a Swiss Army knife and a zest for adventure. I give you the group, Mr. Gareth Davies.
Thank you very much. It's excellent to be here with the team. So I guess it falls to me at this stage of the evening to say quite a number of thanks to most of you here. For those of you in the engagement party, I'm not just going to say the same thing 3 times over, mumbling it. I prepared this one, so here goes. And I'm going to start actually, funnily enough, I'd already planned a little story about when I called Martin to ask for Rian's hand in marriage. So obviously, let me put it this way, Martin is the man that we all here today have to thank for his generosity. Without him, none of this would be possible. So, you know, I'd really like everyone to just... Martin, it's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you and to now be able to call you my father-in-law. Thank you so much for your generosity, thank you for your support, and thank you for this wonderful woman. And of course, thank you for saying yes when I asked you so I could marry her. Some choice in as well. I've got to admit, actually, so regarding that conversation where I called you, it was one of the more awkward conversations I've ever had. Because obviously, I mean, you call your prospective father-in-law and get the timing wrong, which wasn't great. And to be fair, you were fantastic. You didn't hesitate. You didn't really toy with me. You didn't say any of that, well, son, what are your prospects? But then, as an ex-consultant and a student, again, I think, well, I sort of assumed that you'd given up on any of my prospects. And then you sort of build up your courage to ask this great question, this great momentous question in your life, can I marry your daughter? But you don't really think about where the conversation goes from there. So I sort of remember, so you get the yes, fantastic, and then this silence starts dragging on. What am I filling in with? And I go, well, I could talk about the weather, but that seems sort of irrelevant after what we've just been through. Right? Compensate, talk about politics, something like that. That's too much. I could talk about how much I love his daughter, how happy she makes me, and how grateful I am to him for raising this wonderful woman. But obviously, over the phone, that sounds a little unmanly. I don't want to go there. Right? So you just sort of have this worry extending, and you think, well, what if he thinks I'm simple and incapable of small talk? He's going to change his mind. Oh God, thank you very much. Right, hang up the phone. Get on with it. Anyway, obviously it's not only Martin, but it's really the entire family that through Rian I've come to meet. You're all really a truly welcoming, humorous, loving, and mostly Welsh family, which works for us. Thank you so much for your influence on Rian, and it's very plain to see the love you hold for her, and I promise to do that justice in our marriage. Sean and Pete particularly I want to mention as thanks for their import services. Without you, we wouldn't be able to enjoy this fine wine today. Again, I'm truly sorry for the hardship. I'm truly sorry for the hardship of putting you through all those wine tastings. I know it's been a real chore for you. Switching sides, Mum and Dad. Obviously, some of my biggest thanks to you guys. It's you that have made me the man you see today. And I was trying to think... of, how to do this concisely. I was trying to think of 3 words that would best describe being brought up by these wonderful parents. The first one, obviously, is love. I mean, the love that you've shown me, unquestionably, has been fantastic, and I'm grateful for that. Secondly, I would say is freedom. You've really given me nothing but freedom to explore, freedom to be who I want to be. And for that, I'm extremely grateful. Word number 3, I sort of struggled with for a little while. I was trying to think, well, is it something around support, for your advice, for your help over the years? But I think maybe more realistically, the third, not so much a single word, but the third one might be financial backstop. So maybe here, support sounds a little bit nicer. Thank you guys for welcoming Ree so wholeheartedly into our family. Looking back, it was kind of an easy sell. To Dad, I said, well, she's Welsh. To Mum, I said, well, Mum, I finally have a girlfriend. Shock to some. And obviously it helps that, this woman is so utterly disarmingly charming. And I'll get back to you. So thanks again. Really, I couldn't wish for better role models in my life than my mum and my dad. But I'm not done with them yet. I was thinking about the influence that Mum and Dad have had on me. I think back on the proposal. So, as many of you probably know, we decided to have a weekend break in Scotland in mid-December, because that's the best time for it, I was told. So, once we'd driven past severe weather warnings and overturned lorries, we finally reached our nice remote cottage. And there our memories seem to differ a little bit. See, in my mind, I remember this wonderful romantic proposal. I got down probably on both knees and asked, I begged her for her love to make me the happiest man in the world. It's extremely moving moment. Now, Rian is under the impression it happened slightly differently. It was less of a question and more of a polite and respectful statement. Anyway, the answer is she said, yes, we're here today. But it made me think back. Maybe it shows the balance of influence that I've had from my two parents. On the one hand, polite, respectful. On the other hand, telling the world how it's going to be without necessarily asking its opinion. And I'm not going to tell you which parent gave me which treat. I want to mention Phil and Kat while I'm here. He is here. Yeah. Phil and Kat, my brother, my sister-in-law. I want to say thank you so much to you guys. It's been a pleasure to be on the same continent for the last few years. Thanks for change. And it's been so great sharing in the birth of your daughter and our wonderful niece, Annie. Our role models don't really stop there. I mean, my entire family, and now I've met them, Rian's entire family are true role models to both of us. Wonderful families, wonderful people, and we are so glad you're in our lives. Talking of role models, we will see who outlasts Algie here on the dance floor tonight. There won't be many. And of course, all of our friends here as well. We're so lucky to count you among our best friends to share this moment with you. And then there's Team RGS, which is nice. We're all really glad you came. As Martin has mentioned, we've got people from all over, from the US, from Wales, from Switzerland, and I have to say a couple of words. Merci beaucoup les Suisses pour être venus ici aujourd'hui, à partager cette journée avec nous, c'est vraiment un plaisir. Adrien, Gabi, désolé, c'est tout en anglais, mais je suis sûr que ton Nico fait la traduction. Pas de problème. And then, next up are the Dutch. Hallo. Het is zo leuk jullie te ontmoeten. Ik wil hoe trots jullie je moeten voelen om vandaag dit mooie leger te zien houden. Now Josie gave me the translation for that, so you know, if he didn't catch a word, then thank you to all of you for celebrating with us. I'm nearly there, but I want to say obviously I want to share in the adoration of the bridesmaids. They are fantastic. The bridesmaids and everyone involved with the ceremony was fantastic. The music, the Kenny, wherever he is, pacing out the girls, fantastic, excellent work. Really was. I think the song at the start really set the scene. So thank you guys. Boys, Louis, James, Rob, Phil, I've covered you off already, so. What can I say? Thanks to you, for so many great times. Thanks for a stag which is literally over and above expectations. And thanks for the second stag, where I did learn an important lesson about trusting Rian's innocent face. These are my best mates, and I wouldn't say objectively there's a best man among them, but I guess the others understand that Louis has a really pretty face. Louis, thanks to you in advance, we have felt generous and over-flattering speech. You're the best. Now to the important part, my fantastic, amazing, beautiful, wonderful, talented, adorable wife. Rian, you are incredible, clearly. You are the most generous, the most kind, loving and genuine person that I have ever met in my life. For all that you've been through, I couldn't possibly love you more, and yet I love you more every day that I know you. As most people here can assure you, you have brought a level of joy and happiness into my life that was just never there before. Your love of life is so irresistibly contagious. As your dad mentioned, your smile is just incredible, and I love you. You're the centre of my world, and it's for you that I want to be better every day. Thank you in particular for making today possible, for your hard work, all of your little touches, which everybody has noticed. If not, we're going to display them in the bar later. Comment on them. Okay, good. Oh my gosh, you do look absolutely incredible. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for putting up with my constant urges to leave the country on little adventures. I'm sorry I can't promise a quiet, boring life. As you all know, in fact, tomorrow we go on a short getaway, for which we both have to thank all of your generosity. We will be sure to send proofs of the things you've helped us experience. So yes, Rian, we have to do that bungee jump. Then we're off to new pastures in Switzerland. Our little pink townhouse is ready for us to move in September. There'll be a sign-up sheet for skiing weekends in the bar later. First come, first served. Beyond that, who knows? All that I know is how excited I am to share the rest of my life with this beautiful woman and my beautiful wife. Of course, our beautiful cat Grebo. He's not here today, he was more comfortable lounging at home. It is a little family, but it's one that fills me with pride and happiness. So enjoy the evening, unleash on the dance floor. Don't believe a word of what Louis says. And I think we should probably raise a glass. It's my beautiful wife, my beautiful bridesmaids.
We do continue. Rian asked me to say a few words, and I, of course, have made a terrible mistake by forgetting my notes. But I do love you dearly. Not to say this only, that Gareth is a great dancer. I remember Rian is also a fairly accomplished dancer. I do remember one time we had a festival when we were in, for those of France, in A3 or lower 6. We had to give a festival to all and sundry in the school. We had to put on plays, and the highlight was Top of the Pops, where I had the pleasure of seeing Rian as Barbie Girl in a luminous orange wig and a slightly skimpy blue skirt. But from then on, I knew things were going to be wonderful. I'm obviously so glad that you found Gareth. You two make us all beam with laughter and joy. You're all so happy to have us round for a cup of tea. And obviously Grebo is sad about it. He may not be here. We are all thinking of him. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to our final speech. And I can assure you, you are in for a treat. Our speaker tonight has won numerous accolades to date. Most notably, he was Cycle Magazine's Lycra Lad 2012. Lunging Lance Armstrong to the title. He is also one of the most talented men that I know. At the Royal Variety Show, the Queen gave him a curtsy. So prepare yourselves for the thrill that is the best man, Mr. Louis Rian.
A lot of you have asked me if how nervous you get. It's actually genuinely because I've been writing a speech now for 3 months. I've been thinking about Gareth for 3 months. I sleep, I dream about him. It's painful. did ask me not to mention ex-girlfriends, which has had absolutely no impact on my speech. The truth is that Gareth's sexual strength has never been with it. You alluded to it and you were not mine. And yet here we all are. Gareth waited. He asked her to marry him. She said yes. A year later, we're eating chicken skewers and they're married. That's kind of wonderful. Photos ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, first photo. There we want between two. I wanted to imagine this is the 12th of March 2010. And this is the night that Gareth and Rian first met. The face paint that Ash mentioned is there. And I know what you're thinking. What on earth is going on in that picture? Gareth is wearing a high visibility cycling leopard. Rian comes with a 70% discount. which is a really great deal. That's a nice to meet your help. But this was like they felt for each other. It's worth remembering that Rian is teetotal, so she has no excuse. But soon after, she was asking Jack, who's here. Jack? No? She was asking him for his opinion on Gareth. Of all people to ask. But given we're here today, some sales pitch. That kudos. Yeah, you can take some credit for that. At the same time, Gareth came to me and said, should have gone for 80% off. First meetings are important. When I first met this guy, he arrived direct from a beach in Australia. He had long hair, a terrible moustache, and he was carrying a ukulele. That's how Gareth arrived. So, potential for friendship was low at this point. There are questions. And then, first college party, second night. Theme is what I wanted to be when I was younger. I mean, there are standard options. Gareth thinks about this carefully, and he makes a nappy out of his bedsheet, and he arrives dressed as a man baby with a moustache. That's such a strong look. But to be fair, Gareth's ideas don't always go that wrong. So for a little while, forgive me, I'll be talking about Gareth for good. In our second year at the university, I had the privilege of sharing a living with this room. And one morning, I walk in and find Gareth in his dressing gown, wonderful. And he's just bought on eBay a 1974 Volkswagen camper van. And he's just got a large photo of it on the screen. So, this is going to be good. And he said, alright, I'm planning a 2-month trip around Europe for a few of us. Okay. The idea had been floated before, but I will never forget the look of disbelief on Robbie's face. Gareth went to tell him, and there was nothing that Robbie wanted to do less than spend 2 months in that van. But we went for it. Moving on to James, who, kudos, looks at Gareth, registers that Gareth's serious and goes, alright, I'm in. I've got to cancel a family holiday, I've got to cancel a tennis tour, but yeah, I'll go. I've got to see you there. That journey was around 8,000 miles long. The van broke down 3 times. It is the least comfortable vehicle I have ever sat in. But it's one of my favourite memories, and it's entirely down to you. So Gareth's good around because he's good at having fun. Not everyone is good at it. Gareth's good at having fun. And part of that is Gareth loves to throw a party. So you've all been to some of these, I'm sure. Yeah, there are parties in Guildford, there were blue ball parties at university, and there was an infamous beach party where Gareth Gareth managed to borrow 2 tons of sand. We managed to spend an entire afternoon wheelbarrowing it through the kitchen and spreading it evenly across our garden. Sand is significantly hard to get back into a bag. And it's particularly awkward to return 2 tons of sand when it's full of glass, cigarettes, and women's underwear. So Gareth lost to throw a party, but come midnight, something changes in Gareth. He's like a male Cinderella. he just goes. It's up to leaves. He normally aims for home, but not necessarily. And in my experience, direction is secondary to walking for Gareth. He's guys. But this love of walking started young. At age 14, he was supposed to meet his brother Phil after school. So at the end of the day, bell went. Phil, dutiful brother, goes to school. He goes to the gate. No Gareth. Phil waits at the gate. No Gareth. Phil gets bored at the gate. So he tells someone. Someone tells someone else. People start looking. Gareth's parents begin fretting. And the police are called. Meanwhile, Gareth is having an amazing time at the local swimming pool. Just knock out fun. Over the years, Gareth has done this a few more times. And it turns out that going walkabout further from home comes with more perils than doing it in your local town. He's found himself on golf courses with golf flags that don't belong to him. He knows the back streets of Edinburgh as well as anyone, even though he doesn't particularly want to. At university, he left nights out and turned right instead of left. Made it all the way to the Oxford Ring Road, which is a casual 3-hour detour. And then one time, the only time this ever happened, Gareth gave up. We found him around 3 a.m. He was just sitting on a random person's doorstep. He just lost the energy to keep walking. That must have been a big So that's fun, Gareth. But there's more to this man. So while he's gathered all the people he cares most about in the world, I thought I'd take a look at his darker side, share a few things. But first up, Gareth has a relaxed attitude to ownership. While we were in Italy, we stopped for espresso. And Gareth enjoyed his coffee so much that in celebration he decides to keep the cup. So he gets up, he slips the cup in his pocket, and he walks out. He got about 200 metres up the road before he realised that in its place he left a several £100 digital SLR. If you're going to be a thief, I mean, I don't know what the rules are, but one of them has to be bring back more than you take. But you could see the torment in his face. I mean, he was struggling. On the one hand, it was the loss of the camera, which for those of you who know Gareth, Captain loves his camera. On the other hand, a criminal record, stealing cups in Italy. No one wants that. So eventually he runs back, he returns with both, relief, everyone's relieved. However, sadly Gareth went on to lose that cup. And I know, because I have it. So Gareth, a little treat from me to you. Here's the cup. From the Vatican Cafe. Something else Gareth has been hiding. Watch for this. Gareth enjoys stripping in public. Our college had a Christchurch competition, and there were many rounds, and the final was a head-to-head strip-off. As I recall, Gareth, you actually won that. So the silver line made a good stripper. However, sadly there's no record of this event. I can remember it all too well, but there's no photo. There is photo 2 though, to show you. yes, that is a cowbell. Part 3 of this dark chapter entails kidnapping. Gareth was the getaway driver in the infamous Royal Grammar School kidnapping of 2003, where a young man was gagged, bound, and bundled into the boot of a red Fiesta. I'm told that on being questioned about the event by his head teacher, his defense was, "I didn't do it, I don't have a car, I have no legs." Some weaknesses. You went down for that? You went down for that? To conclude Gareth's dark side, most of you will be aware that he's just returned to the world of work after a 2-year holiday at the London Business School in Regent Park. Gareth's a very clever man. Straight A's, first in chemistry from Oxford. But this year was the only time he has ever had to rely on alternative methods for success. When he and his group were called up for plagiarism in their ethics module. We trust a man who cheats in ethics. Okay, moving from darkness into the light. Gareth has achieved a lot in life already. He's excellent in niche sports. After university, he set up a trouser company called Whammies. And those of you who are struggling with this image, I have a pair. Just 1 second. You may be surprised to hear that Whammies are my name. But Gareth went on to work for charity in Africa, then in London, where he received many promotion before starting out BS. And now he's landed a great job at Syngenta. None of this ranks particularly highly when you consider why we're here today, though. And this brings me on to the Gareth-Rian combo, or Gary. It's time for photo 3. This is Gary on a 6-foot by 6-foot inflatable swan named Susie at an event called the Armada, where hundreds of people float down the Thames on inflatables. I always found it interesting that Gary took a shisha pipe on board, which means they took burning coals out into the middle of the Thames on a massive inflatable swan, which probably explains the backup boat. I remember when they began getting serious as a couple. Gareth, this was about a minute and a half after they met. And he knew because he began combing his hair. He then began washing jumpers, and since they moved in together, he's even become a cat lover. Although, after several months of the first cat constantly meowing and hiding in the chimney, he did post it to Hong Kong. Seriously, you can't put cats in parcels. Weird. So not everyone is winning in this relationship. Cats get a raw deal, but unless everybody here feels like being posted to Basel, it's about to become a lot harder for us to see you both. Rian, you were supposed to marry him and keep him here. Instead, you are both going to Switzerland. So, I think we can call that an epic fail. But before you go, Gareth, you said a lot of thank yous. And I just want to say on behalf of everyone, thank you for letting us share this day with you. Rian, you are a tea-drinking, fun-loving, petanque-playing, rock-climbing, swan-riding gem of a wife. Gareth once told me he loves you more than a fondue. I cannot imagine how that makes you feel. But I do love cheese, so I think I understand what he's getting at. And we are all very happy that you found each other. Gareth, congratulations. You're surrounded by family and friends. You're about to start new adventures as Team Davis. You have a cracking beard. I like a man with a beard. You are a great man, and I know you'll be a great husband. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a fantastic night, but before it begins, it is with immense pleasure that I ask you to please raise your glasses to the wonderful people. To Gareth and Rian.